This story begins with the protagonist explaining that in this world there are several types of toys. For example, the guy standing in front of him, this is one of the loudest toys he had seen so far because only prayers to his supposed god and prayers came out of his mouth. He accused him of being a demon that he would kill under the judgment of his lord, so he killed this warrior as quickly as possible, doing him a great favor so that he could reunite with his dear god. Sometime later another new toy appeared. He said he did not have much time because it was his wedding anniversary with his wife, so the battle would end as quickly as possible. Of course, the protagonist also finished off that old man and made fun of him for having died on such an important day. Later, a cute toy appeared looking for the boss of the tower. Of course, the final boss he was looking was the main character, and when he realized this he stopped his friendly acting to later attack him as a lunatic, but ended up losing. Easily defeated, and even though she begged for him to forgive her, he ignored her. The funny thing was that the toys kept appearing with the aim of defeating him, but he knew it was impossible, and of course none of these toys managed to leave this room alive. After this brief introduction, the protagonist revealed that his name was Baphomet, ruler of this tower and the one in charge of identifying the value of the toys. Also explains that the moment in which humans manage to reach him are the moments that it most excite him, but they are also the most desperate, because it is the moment when the fun he has been waiting for ends so quickly. Besides the fact of having a door in front of him that does not let him go out and not being able to go to the world where the toys come from, can only think about how to pass the moments of boredom until a new toy walks through that door. Realizing that the protagonist gets angry since he did not understand why he had to stay in this boring room. When he was frustrated, suddenly he heard a strange noise that came from the object that the toy from before dropped, and because of that object he came up with a great idea. A short time later another person appeared bragging that he would kill the boss and he would become the best hunter. Naturally he was defeated and received a beating, but the protagonist did not kill this human but asked him why such an object is used, and the reason for this question was simple curiosity. The human did not want to die, so he explained that to unlock the cell phone he would have to do a facial recognition. Our protagonist quickly understood what he was saying. The more he understood, the more he wanted to know the world where toys live, while his curiosity increased. The human tried to attack him from behind, but the protagonist accidentally killed his new toy that was stabbing him. But thanks to this object his stay in the tower became more fun. He had also collected all the items that humans dropped, and sometimes through those things, he could imagine what life was for the toys. Over time a problem arose, since the more he knew about them, the more his desire to know the real world and not living in this illusion grew. Trapped inside this room of humans, he learned that they have the superstition that a being called God grants them wishes. So, he wondered if that God would also fulfill his wish. At the same time that he was thinking about it, the cell phone lost its brightness. While he was bored, the tower warned him that a new toy was coming, but he was not very excited. He just wants this to end soon to collect the loot and have fun for a while. Suddenly a human with white hair entered the room. Upon seeing him, the idea of picking up his objects disappeared in an instant. Very excited, he launched his first attack, but this new toy easily blocked it. Standing behind him he waved his sword, throwing blue flames at him. The protagonist realized that this toy was the one he had been waiting for a long time, so he decided to use all his power. While they exchanged blows at great speed, he remembered the emotions that he had forgotten when he was in a real battle, so he attacked using his chain magic, but the human dodged them, and taking advantage of this opportunity the protagonist flew towards the human at great speed, but when he wanted to attack him his blow failed and was kicked to the ground. At first this seemed funny, but now he couldn't understand why he was envious of this toy. This feeling irritated him, so he released all his power and attacked, summoning his scythe, but still his blows kept missing. He had to activate his shield to defend against his counterattack, and this made him feel even more frustrated being behind him. Being defeated by a simple toy, then he attacked with his most powerful ability, but he managed to defend himself. At the same time a voice whispered to him, telling him that even if he is the owner of this tower, he would still be trapped. Because of that voice he ended up getting distracted in the middle of the fight. Taking advantage of that, the human attacked with his strongest blow. The protagonist activated his energy shield, but even so, seeing his gaze, he realized that now he was this human's toy, He also wanted to be someone like this hunter, to leave that room, to be free, and become the most powerful he wanted to become a human. And since his wish was so strong, a status window appeared in front of him. It said that by killing the hunter raven his wish would be fulfilled, but upon receiving this mission the human had already pierced his body with the sword engulfed in flames, the window of blue color. He considered that the hunter's mission was over and ordered him to leave the tower before the hunter collapsed. He went to the exit, leaving behind the charred body of our protagonist, but he did not expect that being close to death, the protagonist got up and went after him from the outside. A great explosion was shown inside the tower. Later we are shown the workers searching in the middle of the rubble of the tower for the corpses of those who tried to challenge the Tower of the Abyss. While they mourned their deaths, they noticed that there was a survivor. That man is the main character. This man explains that he thought he would die trying to attack again. He pierced the human's chest with his hand, and the next moment he crushed his heart, thus managing to kill him and survive in the end. When the workers asked him for his name, the protagonist replied that his name is Baphomet, and while saying that, the system appeared saying that he completed the main quest. Then it is explained that hunters are people who fight against the monsters inside the gates and towers. The hunters did not have much importance until one day the first clash of gates occurred. It was a phenomenon that causes monsters to come out of the gates when a tower is not cleared. 1/3 of the world's population it was eliminated. Because of that, hunters began to be trained to clean the towers. Baphomet was the final boss of the Abyss Tower, which killed countless hunters and also a monster fascinated by humans to the point of wanting to become one of them. People mistook him as the hero who completed the Tower of the Abyss. People wanted to see his power, but the protagonist had lost all his powers, and ended up being demoted to a scammer from ruler of the tower. He became the leader of a gang who guarded a quarry in a dungeon. In another site we are shown the incorporation of a new worker to the quarry. The middle-aged man explained how things work here. He mentioned that the quarry is very big because the hunters cleared the area by defeating the monsters. In that the rookie saw several guys walking around. A man, the veteran, told him that they are delinquents that roam the quarry bothering or harassing others. They stay here because the head of the quarry likes them since they do their job well. Then the boss is shown delivering the salaries to the protagonist's gang. While they discussed what to spend their salary on, one of them asked where does he send his money. His gang members beat him since he will say it when the time is right. Because of that question the protagonist gets angry since he has to give all his money to a damn doctor. After being treated like a scammer and being injured he had to go to the hospital, but since he had no money the doctor made him an offer and told him to pay the debt with his body. Now all the money he earns goes to that doctor. But he had a good side. Ash wouldn't have to go out on the street and be treated like a scammer. But there were problems when some people recognized him at first. He tried to ignore them, but he couldn't take it anymore, so he beat up even those who just looked at him. Before he knew it some people started to follow him, and he had to pretend to be their leader even though that was not the life he wanted to enjoy. Being human, while he was lost in thought a monster attacked one of the workers, but the two hunters easily defeated him. Seeing them, the main character wanted to have that power to be like that free and strong hunter. While thinking about that, one of the members of his group said that the main character was better than the hunters. The others also began to say that their leader was better. And although the hunters earn a lot of money and live in a penthouse, they prefer to be with their leader. Upon hearing this, the protagonist had inadvertently been smiling, since he was having fun like when he was in the tower with his toys, but without the need to fight. Now he was a human, and he could have fun with his toys whenever he wanted. Then one of them asked him his name, but he told him that he no longer used it. He thought that he was keeping it a secret for some kind of background, which made him seem cooler. When his partner was about to tell him his name there was a huge explosion. The protagonist was disoriented for a few seconds. Upon recovering and looking around he saw several people being burned by fire. Next to him was not only the corpse of that companion but also of all the members of his gang. When he saw his broken toy she became enraged since he was in the middle of his fun. At the same time the C-rank hunters are being cornered by the new worker. This guy was actually a hunter who entered the dungeons to steal the loot. Even in this desperate situation the girl was thinking about how to save the workers who managed to survive. But being realistic, the boy says that it would be better to try to escape since his enemy is a rank B hunter, and they should ask the veteran hunters for help. The girl still insisted on wanting to save the civilians, and because of this, Her partner ended up beheaded. Full of hate she attacked to avenge the death of her partner, but before reaching him the subject cut off his legs. While screaming in pain the subject opened a portal for his allies. When they saw the girl, they decided to sell her to the black market. Since Baina rank C hunter, they would pay a lot of money. Being desperate, her leader explained that they steal from hunters. Being more specific, he steals the hunter's organs and she will be another of his merchandise. When hearing this, the desperate girl started crying and screaming for someone to save her. While being mocked for her screams for help, the head of one of them flew off, the other was pierced through the heart. It was clear that all this was done by our hero. Going back a few minutes, the system showed him that he completed the hidden mission. As a reward, he will be given the power that he wanted. Returning to the present, he had used someone else's weapon to finish off these two, which normally cannot be done since there is no way to use someone else's weapon, but the protagonist activated his weapon master ability that allowed him to steal his opponent's weapons and use it with 100% of his power. He asked which one of them was responsible for breaking his toys. The leader didn't even care about his dead comrades, and started making fun of the protagonist for being too old to play with toys. He quickly went towards them, seeing that his leader sent two of his subordinates to attack him. Even though they attacked him at the same time, he managed to easily defend himself the next moment without giving time for his enemies to react. He pierced the head of one of them with his sword. The other tried to attack him, but with one hand he held his arm, with the other hand making a clean cut he cut off his head. Even with all that the B rank hunter, still he was confident that he would win. So he entered the fight attacking the protagonist, and his blow being easily stopped. He was interested in knowing what his rank was, but in his head, he still had the idea that he would be the winner. When he hit him, the leader was more confident and began to brag about himself. The hunter attacked and using his great speed made several cuts to the protagonist's body. Seeing him defensively, the leader got more excited since his opponent did not have any equipment and only trusted his physique. He was using a chain sword, an effective weapon to attack inexperienced opponents, and it was also not to damage the product too much to be able to sell it at a very good price, as long as the leader blocked the attack that was coming straight at him. And from that moment on he was able to defend himself from his next attacks. At the same time his ability activated automatically, and making him stronger while fighting. The leader was surprised to see this surreal scene and couldn't react. Dodged the blow that sent him flying. Without losing this opportunity, the protagonist launched another attack, but when he was blocked, he attacked the hunter again, who barely managed to dodge it. Without feeling tired he continued with his attacks. Irritated, when realizing that the protagonist was stronger, the hunter decided wait for it to run out to give him a critical hit, but when he saw the aura that emanated from him, he was terrified, not knowing what he was fighting against, since the person in front of him did not seem to be human, and due to the fear he felt for the aura that surrounded him, ended up paralyzed for a second, in which the protagonist cut off one of his arms in homage to the toy that was by his side. The other arm was for the guy who always smiled, the left leg was for the fat man who was always eating, and the other leg was for the new member of the gang. While he saw the hunter scream in pain, the protagonist finished his revenge in the most ruthless way. But even so, he continued to hit his body without control. The reason for this was because the berserk ability was activated, increasing his intensity of killing. At that moment of lack of control, he realized that the girl hunter had survived, and because his desire to kill did not decrease, he went in the direction of the girl. In his head, the only thing he heard was a voice that told him that it was created to kill humans, but when he was going to finish off the girl, he stopped when he felt the presence of other humans approaching, ignoring the girl, and attacking them. But being close to reaching them, the finger of the goddess touched his body, at the same time listening to her voice say that she had saved him and will not let them die. It was early, so he had to rest for a moment with respect to the two people. They were confused when they saw him go towards them and then stop and fall unconscious.